How's it going, guys? My name is Luke G from MTG with Luke G. We're going to be talking about the rest of the cards that are in the Dark Ascension set, what you should be drafting when you go to the pre-release weekend, and for all the drafts that'll be coming up in the future. Now, keep in mind, these cards are my opinion, but I have been doing this for a long time. I've been playing Magic for over 10 years, and I've been to over 300 tournaments. I hope you like this video, and remember, if you do, to rate it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now, the first page I want to look at here is the green first pick slash bombs, and I want to let you know that not all first picks are bombs, but all bombs are first picks. And what that means, if you got confused by my last video, is that you could have a first pick that your pack is just really piece of crap, and there's not really any good cards in there, but there is one decent first pick card. Like, let's say, can't really think of something right now, but so that would be your first pick. But as far as bombs go, bombs are always first pick. Doesn't matter how good your pack is. If you got a bomb, you're picking it first. Now let's go first. I really like this enchantment. This feed the pack enchantment. It does cost 6, so it is very expensive, and I don't like that. That's the only thing I don't like, and I'm not really crazy about the fact that it's an enchantment. So you want to try and stay away from enchantments. You want to have more structure and strength to your decks. But look at this. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, put X 2/2 green wolf tokens into play, where X is a sacrificed creature's toughness. That's not too bad. Like, say you had this next creature up here, and there's a lot of like undying cards, so creatures will come back into play anyways, so that's not too bad, and they'll come into play bigger, plus you got a lot of wolf tokens. I bet you could really utilize this card. This card is more of a first pick card and not really a bomb card, but I do really think that it's a very interesting card where you put a 2/2, put a bunch of 2/2s into play. You know, you could sacrifice a creature that's a 5/5 with Undying. You put 5 2/2 wolves into play, and then you get a 6/6 Undying guy back. That's pretty huge. So, definitely look into that card. It's a little late game, but it could really save your butt. Next card. Vorapede costs 5 for a 5/4 with Vigilance and Trample. Wow, that's pretty decent. But then he has Undying, so he keeps coming back too. I love that. Vigilance and Trample, so he's a blocker forever. He tramples over their little guys, and if he does die, he comes back even bigger. I like this card. Next, Grim Flowering. This is a very interesting card. You don't really see green have a lot of draw cards. It does cost 6, that is the only downside. It costs a lot, but draw a card for each creature card in your graveyard. Let's say you're playing black-green and you have a lot of zombie creatures in your graveyard, or a lot of creatures that had Undying and then they finally died later on, and they're in your graveyard. Let's say you have 6 creatures in your graveyard, which is a decent amount that you could have in your graveyard come around turn 7, turn 8 when you get this card. You play it, you draw 6 cards. That's huge. I mean, just to draw cards in green alone. Now, I'm not saying play too many of this card. Maybe play 2 at the very most if you do get them. Maybe just even 1. But this card is not too bad. Next, Increasing Savagery. 4 for a sorcery. Put 5 1/1 counters on target creature. Increasing Savagery was cast from the graveyard, then put 10 instead, because it does have flashback. You could turn a 1/1 flying intimidate creature into a 6/6 flyer or a 11/11 flyer. Cards like this are very interesting to put counters like this on creatures, because putting counters on creatures is better than target creature gets X plus X until end of turn. Counters are always good because they're stable, they're always going to be there, and they're just going to keep your creature. It's going to turn a crappy creature into a really good creature. Let's say you put this on Vorapede. He's now a 16/15 Vigilance Trample creature. Wow, that's huge. And the fact that you can use this card twice, you know, let's say it's extremely late game, and you get this card extremely late game, and you have like a 2/2 flyer that's in play, and you're like, oh man, I got a chump block, and I'm gonna lose. Boom, you play this for 4, he turns into a 7/7 flyer. Then you flash it back for 10, for 10 counters. He gets even bigger, and you just swing and say, laugh at him and say, good game. Like, what the hell? The only downside to this card is that by putting counters on a creature, you don't want to put it on a creature that has Undying, which there are a lot of those creatures in this set, so be very cautious about that. Let's move into the rest of the cards here. These are some decent cards. I don't think they're amazing, but they are decent. We have 4 for a 3/3 with Flash. I like those creatures. They can just come into play like that. But when he does enter the battlefield, target creature gets 2/2 until end of turn. So let's say that your opponent attacks with a 2/2 and a 1/1, and you only have a 1/1 blocker, and that's it. So what you do is you flash this guy into play to block. You block your 3/3 on the 2/2, and you turn your 1/1 into a 3/3. Boom, you just killed both of his creatures for 4 mana. That's not bad. Next card here, Predator Ooze. Now it's 3 for a 1/1 indestructible, which is pretty cool. But whenever he attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on him. So the first time he attacks, he's going to be a 2/2. And then whenever a creature is dealt damage by him, dies, you put another counter on him. So let's say he has a 1/1 creature in play, and you attack, he's a 2/2, then the guy blocks, his creature dies, your guy turns into a 3/3. So on that same turn, your creature could turn into a 3/3 for 3. And he just keeps getting bigger. Next, Lost in the Woods. 5 for an enchantment, which is okay. Now this is a pretty decent card here. Whenever a creature attacks you, or a Planeswalker you control, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a forest, remove that creature from combat. Then put the revealed card on the bottom of your library. Now this is not the greatest card in the world, because if it did say remove it from the game and it never comes back, that would be crazy removal. But this could save your butt. You could, let's say he attacks with 5 creatures. There's a good chance that a couple of those creatures aren't going to get through on damage. That's pretty decent. You know, just to have an enchantment that does that for you. Next, Strangleroot Geist. 2 for a 2/1 with haste and Undying. Not bad. He comes back bigger. He only costs 2 to begin with, and he has haste. I like that. It's pretty decent. Definitely want to try and grab a couple of those guys if you can, because he is an uncommon. You most likely, at the most, I think you'll probably find about 3 of them. So if you can get all 3, then grab all 3. It's definitely a good, decent card. Now, in the other section, there are a crazy amount of first picks and bombs. Check this out. The first guy here, 3 for a 2/2 zombie soldier with death touch. Other zombies you control get 1/1. That's good. Whenever another zombie you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life. Wow, that's huge. I like this card. And the best part is, this guy's an uncommon. He's uncommon. That's crazy. Next up, we have Rose-Colored Captain. Sorry, I'm like really out of it today. I can't even like pronounce these creatures. Anyways, he's a 2/2 flyer. Other spirits you control have hexproof and 1/1. That's pretty crazy too. If you get a lot of spirits, white blue is always strong colors. You know, you get a lot of spirits going. They have hexproof. They can't be targeted by your opponent's spells or abilities. So that's huge. That means that, you know, that really takes away all their removal and their direct damage and everything. So that's pretty decent. I like it. And the next one here is another white blue one. This is a really interesting card. It does cost 7, which is really expensive, but if you draw this late game, this card could save your life and make you come back. Flying Double Strike Lifelink. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. Now, aside from the fact that this card has lifelink alone, if you gain life from another card, you draw cards. Huge. 3/5 though, Flying Double Strike. So that Flying Double Strike, which means, I know he was only a 3/5, but he potentially will do 6 damage to whatever he's attacking. If he's attacking you, or he gets blocked, or whatever the case is. He has lifelink too. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. Remember how Double Strike works. First you'll do 3 damage. Then you'll do 3 damage again. So that means you'll do 3 damage, gain life, draw a card. Do 3 damage, gain life, draw a card. So this guy potentially, when he attacks, draws you 2 cards every turn. If you don't think this is good, then you're ridiculous. Next, We have black blue 4/4. Pay 1. You may cast target creature card from the graveyard this turn. Whenever you cast that card this turn, this card gains all the activated abilities on it. That's huge. So, that could be so big. You can bring back a creature from the dead, and you can cast him, and boom, he's into play, and then this creature gains his, like, activated abilities and stuff, too. Now, it only costs 1, so that's not too bad. Like, I'd rather it cost 1 than be a tap effect, so that way you could do multiple times. If you start getting some decent mana going, this could be a pretty big threat. Next, one of the best cards in the set, and I'm pretty sure the only Planeswalker in the set. Check him out. Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. This guy, Sorin Markov wasn't that great the last time he came around. I always liked his character as far as the lore goes and the story. But look at him, 4 for 3 counters. That's good. Any Planeswalker that comes out quickly is really good. Then 1 plus, to give him 1 plus, he makes tokens that have lifelink. So not only is he making chump blockers to protect himself, but you're gaining life off of those. That's good. -2, you gain an emblem where creatures you control get 1 plus O. Forever. Forever. That's crazy. So, your creatures just keep getting bigger and bigger, and those 1 plus 1 guys you're making turn into 2 plus O guys that gain you life. That's huge. Now look at the next part here. Destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into the graveyard in this way to the battlefield under your control. That's crazy. I'm like, I'm just gonna use this ultimate, destroy 3 of your creatures, now they're mine, and I win. Like, that's pretty crazy. And you could destroy planeswalkers too, so I can see this being used and constructed, but there's no other planeswalkers in the set, so you don't really have to like worry about that part. But next card here, Stromkirk Captain. 3 for a 2/2 with first strike. Other vampire creatures you control get 1 plus 1 and have first strike. That's good as well. Why wouldn't that be good? Definitely the same type of card as the other captain. I like it. Next, Huntsmaster of the Fells. Now, I'm not really a huge person, like I said, with the transforming cards, but this thing does so many things, you can't even keep up with all the stuff it does. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token into the battlefield and you gain 2 life. So when you pay 4 mana for a 2/2, you automatically get another 2/2, then gain 2 life. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells are cast a turn before, flip him over. Now he's a 4/4 Trampler. That gets even better. Whenever this creature transforms into him, you do 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage to up to 1 target that player controls. That's good. This is the type of creature you want to be transforming back and forth. You want him to turn back into the Huntsman, then you want him to turn back into the Ravager. If you can pull this off and do this, just this card alone is going to be like getting you tokens and gaining you life and dealing damage. And he's a 4/4 for a Trampler. I mean, that's a decent card. Plus, it's red-green, so these are powerful colors that you're gonna see happen a lot. I'm gonna almost guarantee you're gonna see this guy in red-green beats for constructed. Next card here. This is a very interesting card. Typically, I'm not the type of person that goes, ooh, 13/13. You know, the bigger the power and toughness, the stronger the card is. That's not always true. But just bear with me for a second and check it out. It does cost 7, so it's very expensive for this artifact. But equipped creature gets 1 plus O for 7, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell, this better get better, you know? When an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, unattach this, and then transform it. So let's say you have a 2/2 flyer in play. Put this on him for 7 mana, equipped it for 1, attack, transform it, it goes over. Now he has flying, intimidate, trample. He's a 13/13. This next ability has not really going to have anything to do with you drafting, but whenever a player loses the game, put 13 1/1 counters on this guy. So this is going to be a huge card for maybe 2-headed dragon, a 3-headed dragon, stuff like that. But this is a pretty decent card. I mean, if you get this guy, it's going to be pretty decent. I don't really typically think he's a first pick. I mean, I think that it's a good card, but there are some artifact destruction out in this deck. I wish this artifact said that the artifact was indestructible. That would make me like it a little bit more, but decent card. 2 more cards left, both lands, both incredibly good. They just keep coming out with these ridiculous lands. Okay, taps and adds colorless, okay, whatever. Pay 4, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Wow. So, as your creature is dying already, you could do this ability, sacrifice him, draw a card. Wow. From a land. Lands that draw you cards? Are you kidding me? Wow. That's ridiculous. Next, this one's just as good. Vault of the Archangel. 1 for colorless. Then it gets better. 4. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. What the hell? That is crazy. You attack with a bunch of 2/2s. You attack with 6 2/2s, right? Okay, boom. You just gained 12 life for paying 4 mana and tapping this land. And anything that blocks that, they all die. That's crazy. So these creatures, this is a crazy combat trick. I love this card. It's gonna be one of the most expensive cards in the set, as far as because it's gonna be using constructed. For white black is going to be big this set. I'm very happy that white black is starting to really show its colors, because I used to play a white black deck back in the day and it was ridiculous and I just won like crazy with it. So I'm really looking forward to this card. And the last card that I looked at, the Grim Backwoods, the other land, that's a huge card too. Black-green has always been strong too. I want to thank you guys for watching all these videos, and if you want to watch the other colors, there are links below, and you can just go back to my page. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you did like all these videos, make sure you let me know. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.